Hey everyone, Isabelle Fox here, and in today's lesson we are talking about how to easily get amazing reviews from your clients so your profile outshines all the others. I'm going to go through step by step the process I use to effectively get lots of reviews. The reason why reviews are so important is that the biggest issue we face, especially as a private escort being booked online through a profile, is the issue of authenticity. The client is worried that he's going to show up and not have the experience that they were hoping for. They're worried that you're not going to look as you present. And so what we need to do is be proactive and tackle this issue before the fact. And there are multiple ways you can do this. Selfies and unedited photos that you send to the client privately are a very good way of tackling that problem. However, a second approach is also to have fantastic reviews, because clients know on one hand that selfies can be edited or that you could be sending somebody else's selfies. So having amazing reviews from your other clients to say that, yes, I have utilized this service, I've seen this person and I had a great time, they look like they present, you're going to have a wonderful experience with them, will give the client far more reassurance and will move them forward towards booking you. The second issue is also competitiveness. There are many people offering escorting services these days, so another way that you can set yourself apart from all those other people is to have reviews that speak again to your authenticity and to the quality of your service. So let's get into exactly what I do to get all those reviews. What I will do is, after seeing my client for the first time, I will send them a text or an email the next day asking for a review in conjunction with a personally written thank you. Now, it's really important that your thank you seems authentic and genuine. So if you can include something specific that your client and you shared, if you can make it sexual, then even better if you feel that that's appropriate. So don't just straight up ask them to do something for me. I firstly tell them what a great time I had with them. I will do this after the initial booking. In my experience, I have found that once a client has seen you and they've had a great time with you, they're going to be far more likely to agree to writing a review for you. And there's really, most of the time, no reason not to ask a client straight up after the first time you have seen them. I know that sometimes people think that they need to wait to see a client a number of times, but sometimes you won't see a client multiple times. So that's actually a missed opportunity for a great review. So I will send it to every client I see after my first booking. The importance of sending it the day after is that I like my client to go away and then get a nice surprise the next day, a nice reminder about the amazing time we had together. And then I also ask him to do a favor for me by writing a review. Always make sure that you contact your client via the appropriate method of communication. So if your client has been emailing you, it's probably best not to text this to them because you don't know what sort of access other people have to their phone. And if your client has specifically said not to contact you within certain hours, then obviously stay true to that. If you do something that compromises the client's privacy or discretion, they are not going to want to write you a review. And lastly, you want to make it okay for them to say no. This is important because you want them to feel like they can say no and still come back. You don't want to compromise the opportunity of a second booking with them because they feel uncomfortable about having been asked to do something that they aren't comfortable doing. And sometimes clients will feel uncomfortable leaving a review. You can actually do so on most platforms totally anonymously, but even still, some clients won't feel comfortable. They might feel like their privacy is being compromised, or perhaps they just don't want to, or they're not really sure how to write one. So always make it okay for them to say no. After I write a heartfelt and sincere thank you based on our time together, I will then tack on this at the end of that. John, I was hoping to ask a small favor of you. I'm trying to build my profile right now, and it would mean the world to me if you could take some time to write me a short review, please. If you can, I would so appreciate that and would love to show my thanks in person next time we meet with some extra complimentary time. If you prefer not to, that's okay too. However, if you wouldn't mind, I would be so thankful. All right, so let's break this down. Firstly, I always use the client's name because escorts are notorious for calling people babe, honey, darling, because they can't remember or can't be bothered personalizing it with the client's name. So make sure you always address your client. I specifically say small favor because I want to set this up as being a small thing that will be convenient and not be too much trouble. I then go on to be genuine and tell them why I want the review, and be honest and say, look, I'm really trying to build my profile. I'm really trying to do a good job in this industry. So it would mean the world for me if you could write me a short review. Again, alluding to the fact that it doesn't need to be a big deal. It can just be short. I go on to give further gratitude and say I would so appreciate it, but then I do something that makes it worth their while. So I show them that there's something in it for them. Now I've put extra complimentary time in brackets because you can put anything you want in that section, which we'll go through shortly. I found that extra complimentary time is the easiest and generally the most satisfying thing to offer. It's also something that you can do at your discretion based on each client. So if you commit to a really specific thing, say like half an hour, you might get a client that is particularly difficult or you don't really want to give the half an hour to. So if you keep it more vague, you can then choose at the time of meeting what works for you. Also, if you commit to a certain period of time and the client books and you genuinely don't have that time to give them, then they're going to feel a little bit ripped off, or it could be an issue that you have to deal with down the road. So better to be more vague about this. And lastly, as I said before, I tell them that it's totally fine if they can't do it, but then I reiterate how much it would mean to me if they did do it. All right, so some tips on this, guys. Firstly is ask everyone. I know it might feel uncomfortable at first, but the more you do this, the easier it will get. It will just become a habit and a form of your business practice that the next morning you wake up, you look at your calendar, you saw all the clients that you had seen yesterday, and you write something genuine and authentic and send it to all of them. Once you get in the habit of doing this, you'll find that there's a snowball effect, and all of a sudden you'll have 20 reviews, which is going to make a huge difference to your bottom line and your bank account. I always ask via text or email. I used to ask clients in person. However, I found that it could break the mood or just be a little bit confronting for me to do if I felt like it wasn't appropriate for the moment. So it was easy to let myself off the hook and not do that because I would say, oh, this client doesn't seem like the right person. You actually don't really know who is the right person or not. This is a numbers game. Sometimes people you think who would never take the time to do it will go out of their way to do an incredible review. So the more people you ask, the more yeses you'll get and the more reviews you'll have. I'll also point here that having a variety of reviews is really helpful because you don't know what sort of language or what type of review will appeal to new clients. So sometimes you might meet with somebody who you feel like isn't going to write you the sort of quality review that you might be looking for. However, even asking that person will be helpful because there might be somebody who comes along who thinks the same way that that client does, who communicates in the same manner, and they see that review and it really appeals to them, and it's the thing that makes them want to book with you. So don't discount anybody, ask everybody, and you will find that the overall attractiveness of your profile really improves. Secondly is offer something in exchange. You want to make it worth your client's while. Like I said, you want to show them that there's something in it for them. You want it to be a reciprocal act. So they do something for you, you do something for them. My favorite thing to offer is just complimentary bonus time, which will generally be 10, 15 minutes, sometimes more. I try not to be too strict on it. I let whatever feels natural flow for the booking. However, there are many other things that you can do based on your service and what you feel comfortable with. So perhaps John saw you and he booked GFE, but he expressed interest in certain PSE services. Well, to entice John not only to come back, but to also write you that review, you could offer him that PSE service as a complimentary bonus next time he books your GFE. And once he actually experiences that PSE service, you might find that he continues to come back again and again for the PSE option. You can offer a small discount. I generally don't use this straight up, but I will do it if I have a client who perhaps I know needs a discount for some reason or is really bartering hard with me, or some other reason why you think that it's appropriate to offer a discount on your service, which is totally your choice. So that's another one that you could do. And lastly, you can be creative and come up with a service that you don't usually provide. Maybe the client again has expressed interest in this particular service, so you could offer it to them as a way of enticing them to write a review for you. You can get creative here and really try to think specifically about this client and what you know about them, what they might like, and then offer that to them in exchange for writing a review. You can use this after your booking to secure another booking. So if you really make it enticing, that client will be more likely to come back because he knows that he has a little freebie waiting up his sleeve. You can also offer this upon meeting with your client. So say a client shows up and again, perhaps they've been expressing interest about a particular service that they weren't willing to pay for. On arrival, you might say, you know what, I'm willing to do that for you today if you agree to write me a really great review after our meet, provided you had a good time, because obviously you want your reviews to be genuine. But again, I generally ask at the end of the booking, after it's done, and via text or email, especially because that generally entices clients to come back. Make it convenient and easy. You don't want to make this seem too daunting or difficult or time-consuming for your client because people are busy and generally they don't like the idea of those sorts of things. So that's why I always use the word short review, small favor, something that won't take up too much of your time. I always make it seem like it's something that won't be too big of a deal for them. I don't want them to feel like I'm going to be asking them to go too far out their way. I will then make it even easier for them by sending them the direct links to anywhere I want them to write a review. So if you're on multiple platforms, you should be asking them to post that same review everywhere. If he expresses that he is unsure on how to write one, which sometimes clients are willing to do it, but they just genuinely think, oh, what am I going to write? Then offer to send him your reviews link so that he can take a look at what other people have written so that he can write his own. Post them everywhere you can. So once you've gotten a review from your client, make sure they're posting it on all of your profile platforms. And if you're using social media as well, so you're using Twitter or anything else, take a screenshot of those reviews and copy the link to your profile as well as your phone number and your email in it. So when your client is viewing your review, if they are having access to you anywhere other than your profile, you want for it to be super easy for them to actually book you. So often I see people posting things, for instance, on Twitter, but they don't actually leave any link or any very clear immediate action as to how to make a booking. So if you're going to do a screenshot on Twitter and say, this is my client James, he had such a great time with me, look at the review he wrote, thank you so much James. Below that you should write, if you would like to get in touch with me, contact me via my text or email or whatever method. You ideally want to make it so super easy that it will only take the client seconds to go from, I want to see her, to bam, being in contact. There you have it, guys. That's exactly what I do to get great reviews. The more, the merrier. So test it out and let me know what you think. You can contact me anytime on isabelle@foxgirls.com.au.